After a very successful 2015, Mercedes-Benz has big plans for 2016 as well, and showcasing some new vehicles here at the Auto Expo. Let's get more on that from Mr. Ronald Forger. Good to see you, Roland.
Good to see you.
Nice to have you here at our studio, and thank you for joining us. It is an important year, 2016, for your company. Here in India especially, I mean.
Yes. As you said, 2015 has been an exciting year for us because we also came back into position number 1, which we struggled for a few years very, very hard. And it's nice to see how all things come together and then you can start to deliver. So, of course, the expectation now at the moment is also what's going to happen in 2016. And we have made our plans, although, as everybody knows, the end of December, we had some wake-up calls, and we're dealing with that as we speak at the moment. But it's interesting times.
I will talk to you about that, but first let's talk about the exciting stuff. I mean, the GLC arriving is something that, not necessarily the GLC, but that segment is something that you've been wanting to address here in India for some time. Now you have the ammunition to do that. How important is that product for you?
That product is really and truly very important to us. It's part of our overall growth strategy. We see a general turning, not away from sedans much, but actually the growth that we see in India, but also in the rest of the world, is very much coming from SUVs. Practicality is an issue. Road going capabilities in bad weather, for instance, is an issue. High seating position is an issue. That's what people love in those cars. And we had, especially in that bracket, as far as an interesting price bracket is concerned, we had unfortunately nothing available so far. So we're eagerly waiting for the GLC to arrive in India.
You'd want to launch it today, wouldn't you? I mean,
we would bring it, the earlier the better, let me put it this way. But unfortunately it's going to be second half of the year somewhere.
Well, you could still get the festive season, so that's, I guess, an important one. But what would it do to you in terms of where the entire portfolio goes? I mean, there's the volumes, obviously, that's one part of it.
Yeah.
And surely you would have to also try and consider, how many people might. There may be a small percentage of people that might turn from your existing products that they otherwise may have bought and buy the GLC instead. But the way it sort of fits in to the entire portfolio, does it become as important as how, let's say, the E-Class is for you in the sedan space, again, for India?
The expectations are manifold in a sense. First of all, we have seen last year, 2015 over 14, a growth of that SUV segment by about 100%. Yeah, and that did not affect as badly the rest of our products. It's just that our growth is predominantly fueled by this development in the market space there. So when we look at the GLC and its positioning right between the GLE and the GLA, yes, there's always what we call cannibalization a little bit, but we hope that always the good is the enemy of the worst, in that sense that people now have a choice, because in our brand they couldn't find anything, and then they were more driven to outside and to competitors than to stay with the brand. And they usually love the brand. They have been excitedly asking for a vehicle like that. It's part of our overall volume growth strategy as well. It will also give us an inroad into areas where we have not been so far, because of its lower price point and because of its serious off-road capabilities.
Now, when it comes to this particular segment, and it's maybe more true in India, but it's also true in other parts of the world. Do you think that, the kind of anticipation you have now around this product, is it driven by the price point, or is it driven by the size of the vehicle? Because, at different markets it could mean different things.
Yes, I think it's more about the price point area, because the GLE is quite a substantial jump. It's an exclusive SUV and off-roader, whereas the GLC is catering to a significantly lower spending point, and whereas maybe the GLA is not such an outstanding and strongly off-roader vehicle, although we're proving it with our campaign and taking it around the world that it can do much more than people expect. But the GLC is truly very, very strongly positioned as that kind of a vehicle, and people want And the question is always, what can you afford for the price of money or for the budget that you have? And the GLC, in that sense, will be not just a compromise, will be the best part of both worlds in our eyes. That's why we also believe strongly in the volume component.
In the Indian context, there's also been a lot of talk of late, Roland, about, of course, there's the emissions and the pollution end of that conversation, but also about people becoming more conscious and more aware and maybe looking for slightly greener solutions when they're buying. And it is, of course, more true in the premium space than it is for the mass products. So how are you planning to address that? Because we know that there are others who are looking at, let's say, hybrid solutions, etc., or maybe looking to even go further than that. So what is the Mercedes-Benz strategy towards that?
It's not really a rollout strategy yet, but what we are doing is also based on the impact of the discussions that we have started with December 16th, is that we are trying to move forward on Bharat Stage 6. So we really truly applaud the decision that was made to move Bharat Stage 6 from 2022 to 2020. We would be capable, and we had just finalized our discussions also with our counterpart in Germany. And our headquarters says basically, as far as availability is concerned, and we would feel comfortable in starting as early as 2018. Now, this would have more long-term impacts for us, because that would also mean that we could bring all the host of all of those vehicles that we would have readily available in the US, in Europe, also to India. And that includes all the hybrids, it includes all the plug-in versions of hybrids. It would include basically also solely electrically powered vehicles, range extenders, whatever you have out there would then also be available at a much earlier stage. So that is certainly something that we would like to see go forward, and we're discussing this with the authorities at the moment.
Bringing those cars, of course, also assumes the fact that that kind of fuel is available here as well. So
that is the minimum requirement, because naturally all these technologies usually in Germany are developed for countries that basically are already at Euro 6 level. And because normally countries like Africa that have a Euro 3 standard, they're not really interested in hybrid versions. So to make that match and to make that fit, I think, and we believe strongly that what we would require is really that move to Bharat Stage 6 at the earliest possible stage.
December 16th, what you referred to, of course, is where what many call a landmark decision, others call it short-sighted on the part of the court. This whole ban of diesel engines in Delhi above the displacement of 2 liters. It does of course affect your portfolio, and I think there are a couple of other players, Toyota, Mahindra, who have been vocal about it as well. We've seen very quick solutions from some of them. We've seen certain plans being announced from some of them. Is it fair for you to start assessing this? Because all said and done, this was only done to a certain point. It's only up to, it's just a few more days left, let's say, for this ban, when the court takes another decision on it. Also, it's only Delhi. How do you take a long-term decision based on something like that?
Well, obviously you can't. Very simple stated. It came as a big surprise, and with somebody like us who is producing locally, you have a much longer supply chain. For us, it's 7 to 9 months until we can really change something. So for us, it was quite impossible to do anything on short notice. With the help of our dealer network in the whole of India, we rechanneled a lot of gasoline versions now into the NCR market. And that helps to a certain degree, but it's a disruptive blow to our overall planning. But I understand, or we understand a little bit better in the meantime also where this whole thing came from, and there is a need that we need to do something. And I hope that just because it goes down in the summer months, that this thing doesn't blow over so quickly, because we really need, and we believe we need long-term solutions to this issue. And they only come from our perspective from changing some of the structures, the policies, giving us guidance to where this whole thing should lead. We are able to react to that, given our 6 to 7 months lead time and the availability of truly Euro 6 standard vehicles. Yeah.
But let's say 6 to 7 months from today, is that then going to be a scenario where you're already thinking must have the petrol version as well, and maybe think of smaller displacement diesels?
I don't think
or
that.
Would you take that decision only in the summer?
frankly speaking, my personal opinion is it was a short-term decision, and to bring now vehicles that are under 2 liters is again the same kind of short-term solution that will not change anything in the pollution to the air, because a vehicle that before had 2.1 and is now at 1.9 you will never be able even to measure the differences in pollution. So the problem is, it's like, oh, okay, we set the plan here, and it's so easy to jump under that. Then what's the point? I mean, you need to address a significant amount of vehicles out there in order to change anything. So also, I think the step to take out slowly older vehicles is going directly in the right direction. But now we need to have a possibility to replace them with newer vehicles. And I think that this is it's not a real problem that is new to the world. You look at Europe, you look at to California, where we've had these issues before. There are solutions out there, and it would be easy to a certain way adopt them to India as well. But that's why we're going strongly forward with this earlier adoption of Bharat Stage 6, because we think that's the best long-term solution that open up new avenues also to bring in new technology beyond just normal diesel and petrol versions.
But do you see buyers now asking for, let's say, a bigger number of buyers asking for more petrol versions?
Of course.
It's already happened, right?
It already happened.
And that's probably going to stay for a while, because there's also a lot of perception about diesel now. So,
and I think that is a risk in itself, because frankly speaking, now we're looking only at small little particulate matter. We're looking at NOx. Everybody has been extremely sensitized to the issue, but we're completely forgetting one thing, and that is that diesel is much more efficient on CO2 emissions also. So when we replace now all the diesel vehicles with petrol versions, then we would up by 25% our CO2 emissions. That's not something that I think we could accept. Yeah,
it has to be an all sort of thought through, all round kind of a solution. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Happier things again to sort of round this up. You mentioned it's going to be a busy year and a significant one as well for the company. I'm sure you'd like to hold on to that #1 position. There's no doubt. But tell us. Besides the GLC, what else are you going to be bringing this year? Well, how exciting is it going to be?
It's going to be a tremendously exciting year, because we are having so much fun in doing this. So we'll just continue along the same path. We're going to add lots more dealerships to our already large lineup, mainly for the fact that we have noticed how important it is to get closer to your customers. So we are adding dealerships in order not just to reach out, but to get closer to customers, provide them after-sales service in the part where they have not seen anything in the last or ever. Then again, exciting new launches, because that always gives us a chance to reconnect with customers again. We can bring them into our dealerships, invite them in for a new celebration of a new added family member to the family of Mercedes-Benz vehicles. And that always creates a stronger bond and gives us the chance to also resell again into the same group. And at the same time, when we launch new vehicles, and some of the vehicles, we have said about 12 new vehicles in overall this year, some of these vehicles don't have predecessors, so just like we discussed the GLC, these will also bring completely new people to the brand that have never been our customers before. So yes, truly exciting 2016.
And it's like that for Mercedes globally. I mean, there's so much anticipation around all the new products that are coming on stream. So it's nice to be able to track that as well. Thank you for speaking to us today. And
it's been a pleasure.
We do wish you all the best for the year.
Thank you so much. Okay.